Hello, my name is Gertrude, and this is the Tech Girl Podcast. I believe we're all created to have a purpose on this earth. The best thing you can do is inevitably seek your purpose. That's what I'm trying to do with this podcast. I speak to different people that have gone through different tech journeys in order to learn from them, as well as to discuss how people can get into tech. I hope to encourage and support more people to take up tech-related careers. In this episode, I chat with Naya. Naya is a software engineer and creator of the Black Female Engineer on all social media platforms. In our conversation, we talk about the importance of representation in tech and why it matters. We also talk about navigating your first role as a software engineer, software developer, or working in tech, especially when you come from a non-traditional or computer science background. Naya also gives practical tips on how you can get started working in tech, as well as other practical tips that you can use to help you survive working in tech, like the whiteboard. Let's get into the conversation. Welcome, Naya, to the Tech Girl Podcast. I'm so happy to have you as a guest. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. You are a person I have very much admired in the tech space and especially social media, tech content. Like, I feel like we kind of like interact with each other a bunch, but your person is like, oh, like she's there and I'm rooting for her, but like we haven't talked yet. So I'm just very excited to be here.
Me too. And I'm just so happy because I've been rooting for you as well so much. I am so proud of all the things you've done. Like, I love following the many things that you do and like constantly looking forward to what is she going to do next and how's it going. And it's been amazing. And just before we started this, we talked about how our timeline with our coding boot camps, which was pretty similar. Was it around the same time that you started creating tech content?
So what's funny is when I decided to go to a coding boot camp, I also decided that once I get a job, I'm going to start making content.
Okay.
And it was because in my whole research of how do I get in this field, because I don't have, a computer science background or anything like that. I was like, how do I get in this field and whatnot? And so I had to be constantly looking up YouTube videos, and all the people who had something to say did not look like me. And the reason that's important is because it's like, okay, well, the things you're saying to do, they worked for you. Yeah. And I very much am not. I very much do not employ the same spaces that you do.
Yes, exactly.
And so before bootcamp, that's when I was like, okay, once I get through this and once I get a job, I'm going to start making content because this is ridiculous.
Exactly.
I can't be the only one looking for this stuff. And so, then 3 months after I finished bootcamp is when I started making content.
Nice. So 2 things. Tell me through the process where you decided to do a bootcamp.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Know where to start that story. Okay, so I realized I loved to code. I was in my senior year of college, and it was just 6 weeks from graduation, and boom, the world ended. It was March of 2020 and the world just decided to stop. And now I had all this free time. And so I decided learning to code, and truly just decided to learn just for the fun of it. People always say, learn to code, just like how people always say, learn about investments, learn
public speaking.
Public speaking, make time to travel. Like, people just say these statements, and coding, I feel like, is one of those things that people say, oh, learn to code. And so I was like, okay, cool. Everyone else is out here getting fit and making their bread.
Yes.
Everything. Let me learn to code. And so started learning to code, and I fell in love with it instantly. When I say instantly, I mean right away, where the following 2 to 3 days, I was just staying up till 3, 4 in the morning coding. I just could not put it down. And so now here I am 6 weeks from getting my finance degree. I was a finance and accounting double major. So getting that degree and I don't want to be in that field because I now see what I do want to be in. And so did a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of research, and going back to the whole, there's people that don't look like us,
Yeah.
especially at that time, talking
Mm-hmm.
about these things. CNBC released, you know how they have their series like Make It or Making It? I don't know the exact name.
Yes.
And it's always like, oh, 25-year-old in San Diego making 100K, whatever. And it goes,
Exactly.
yes, through their budget, their finances, their job, and exit and whatnot. Right then, I want to say it was like April-ish of 2020, they released one that was like, woman in New York making 210K plus, like 24 years old or whatever. And the cover was a Black woman. And I hadn't seen them create one of a Black woman, especially of that salary.
I remember it very well. Is it Bukola's?
Yes. And so I clicked it. I now know it was Bukola, but she talked about how she's a software engineer, but doesn't have a computer science degree.
Yeah.
And so went into all the things she did to get there. And one of the things she mentioned, she didn't do a boot camp, but she mentioned boot camps as one of the options people can take, one of the routes people can take. Yeah. And I had never heard of a coding boot camp before in my entire life. And so I did a bunch of research. I did a bunch of just trying to get that information. And fast forward and attended a coding boot camp and called it a day.
Oh, that's so nice. That is so good. And, you know, it's really interesting because she's also one of the people that kept me going during my bootcamp, because I started and then, like you were saying, trying to find, how can I do this? How can I do that? And it was always people that never looked like me until I stumbled upon her. And it just helped me every time. I felt like I cannot do this, because there were so many times during that time when it was like, I can't do this.
No, exactly. It's something I've talked about before, because so in my boot camp, one of the instructors was a Black male. And I remember when I'd be struggling through things and everything, I would think to myself like, okay, well, I can obviously do this. It's not that I'm not meant for this field. It's not that people like me aren't meant for this field, because look at this person and he's here instructing the course and whatnot. And so I feel like some people don't understand why representation is so important. And truly that's why. It's because you have proof that people with your same background can succeed and flourish in this environment. So why not you? You know?
Exactly. And this is something that growing up, I would always hear, which I really hated with like my parents and stuff, when there's someone that's performing better than you, because my parents always expect me to be like like to get the top grades. If I'm not getting the top grades, I have to be in top 3. And if you find yourself top 5, it's like, okay, so how did the other person do it? And then it didn't really click until I was a minority. And it was so important to see people that looked like me to be like, okay, I can do it too.
That's so funny. Because we talked about this. Like, my parents are Zimbabwean, I'm Zimbabwean, and that quote, "How did the other person do it?" Oh my goodness, it shattered my world each time. Like, oh, like you don't understand. Like, these were the requirements, but okay, so how did this person do it? That will just crush me every time.
Oh my God, it's crazy, and it did not really make sense then. But now it really does. And then I get it, like representation matters. And sometimes probably you have encountered people sliding into your DMs and just talking about how you've had an impact just because you look like them.
It's crazy to me though. Like, it's truly, I don't know what it is. Maybe this is a conversation between me and my therapist. I don't know. Because they say that, and like they will like, I'm even thinking about people right now who have said things to me and have said, I just signed on an offer because of you. I've been following you for the last like 2 years, XYZ, and like now I got my job. And I just like look at it and like, I think there's like a wall up or something where I hear their words and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you. That's so kind. But it doesn't really seep in. Like, I think it's just like too big for me to truly make it make sense. Like, what do you mean? Like, and it's funny because like you said, like we looked at Bukola and like, she's someone that I would want to say like, yo, like truly, this I would not be here if I hadn't seen that video of yours and like watched your videos and followed you and everything. But when you're the person receiving that, I don't know. I need to figure that out. But I'm always so grateful for people reaching out. Something that's very important to me is like the community building. Like I like to think of myself as a pretty energetic, positive person. I don't like this stereotypical social media content creator of like that, like wall up, like, oh, you can't get too close to me, X, Y, and Z. I don't like that. I love the wall being down and be like, hey girl, like what's going on? I do that a lot with TikTok now, being able to go on live and everything. And the relationships I build with people have been amazing. I actually try to remember as many people's names as possible. And so I'll like give myself a quiz before and after the lives and everything. So it's just so amazing, just the community building that's come of all of this.
I mean, I cannot add more to it because it's truly amazing. And just to think that this is social media, like 10 years ago, who would have thought that you would have friends and people that know you from like places you've never even heard of before?
It's like you said, like friends, like, yeah, just like me and my 10,000 closest friends. Like it's so funny. And a lot of times, like now I see myself interacting more with followers through lives and things like that than a lot of other people, because like while I'm getting ready for things, I'll go on a live and like talk things out or talk about like doesn't have to be content, but I've talked about like some dating experiences I've had. I talked about this problem.
I should get on TikTok. I need to hear those.
Talking about the issues I was experiencing with works, like some admin issues. And it was crazy. I actually just did that about 2 weeks ago. I was like, yeah, this is the problem I'm having. I don't know what to do. And they helped me like get a solution. Like they literally did this research like in the background and then created like a bit.ly, like this one follower created a bit.ly and sent it to me. It was like, hey, I found all this information for you. Tell them X, Y, and Z, and like use this as like a resource. I was like, what? And so I made a joke, but it's truly not a joke. I was like, every problem I have now, I'm coming to you guys. All to say that, like,
it's amazing that it's two-way, you know?
Yes, it's truly insane how much social media now plays in my life, especially as like a software engineer, but also this like weird space of like also a content creator. Like those things don't really go together, but also the making sure that we all are uplifting each other up. Like in my lives, people will be like, I just got a job, or I just got an interview, or I just graduated from boot camp. Everyone in the comments would be like, congrats, man.
Yes, rooting for you. And it's so amazing. So what does a typical day look like for you?
Oof, oh my goodness.
Do you even have a typical day?
I kind of do. I'm looking up at my whiteboard because I have like every day sectioned out.
And let me just say, you're a whiteboard advocate. I love it.
I need to somehow maybe I'll make a product, like a whiteboard or something. Cause I'm like, I just advertise whiteboards, like my income depends on it. But so my typical day, if I go hour by hour, I say like wake up at 7, get ready for the day, like shower, get ready, see if I'm actually going to get actually made up, if I'm creating content, or it's going to be more of an editing day. So still stay in my hoodie like I am right now. And from around 7:30 to 9 is when I do my content focused items. And so I go over DMs. I go over my newsletter items. I go over my TikTok and either film TikToks or stage for Instagram reels and whatnot, because every single day my goal is to post 3 TikToks and 1 Instagram reel. And so I create all of that typically the morning of or the morning before. And so create all of that from 7:30 to 9. Then from 9 to 12, I work my 9 to 5 and so do the whole meetings thing, the stand up, the communication whatnot. 12 to 1 lunch. And I really do try to just make it lunch, like nothing else, just listen to my true crime podcast while making lunch and everything. And then 1 to like 3:30 is when I continue work. And then from 3:30 on, I try to just see where I'm at with everything, like nice high level view. So I look at what work is, how it's been going, the next steps, but also social media items. Have people gotten back to me for, let's say, partnerships or brand deals or collaborations, responding to comments, and things like that. And then if it's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I might do a TikTok live. So do that from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then 8 p.m. have dinner. Try to fit in working out at some point. I just now got back into working out because I've been on vacation. And so that truly deters your routine. But I worked out yesterday and I plan to work out tomorrow. And so if I do work out, it'll be at like 5:15. That way, 3:30, see high level how everything's going, and then prepare to go work out and call it a day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Are you a workout from home or workout at the gym type of person?
No, I go to Orange Theory, which is killer. Like, oh my goodness, I am right now so sore. Like before work today, I like did a series of stretches and everything because I am just so sore. Have you heard of Orange Theory? It's this. Oh my goodness. Okay. Have you heard of Insanity or P90X?
No.
It's like this insane HIIT workout. So like, what does HIIT even stand for? Like high intensity interval training. Yes. And so Orange Theory is basically just a class where it's just high intensity interval training. So it'll be like half the time you're on treadmills. Like yesterday, I did like 9 sprints. And then you do like sometimes just jogging, sometimes just walking, then you sprint again. And it's like insane. And then the other 30 minutes is more like strength and weights. And so they have like a rowing machine, and then they have like dumbbells and everything. So like just like floor work. And so, yes, the other half was like arms. What was yesterday? Yesterday was mostly arms and resistance day. And so, yeah, I am just feeling it. So I try to go when I'm in a regular routine, I try to go twice a week, but I'm going on vacations the next like 6 weeks. So I'm going to have to like go like 3 times in a row some days so I can get the most out of my membership. So we'll see.
Yeah, and also to fill up for the holiday time.
Yes, exactly. Like I'm pretty sure that's how the body works, you know? Like if I compact this into 3 days, it'll work for the next 2 weeks. Yeah. That's what I heard in science class. In nutrition and sciences, that's what the main takeaway was. So I don't know.
Yeah. Oh God. No, I wish. I'm
trying to walk more. Because like I don't know if you've heard like that thing. I'm like, yeah, if you walk 5 miles in a day, that's
like 10,000 steps.
Yes.
You speak miles, I speak kilometers.
Oh shoot. Yeah. So 10,000 steps is like the good way to measure it. And so, yeah, I've been trying to walk more. This last Sunday, I went and walked up like a hiking trail. So I need to just, put in different things because summer is coming. The summer is knocking on the door. And look, I'm in my hoodie, hiding from the sun and all the things she exposes. So.
Yes.
So I need to get back on it.
I feel you. I'm in that space too. Like, I see you, Summer, and I need to be ready. When you hit, I'm here.
Yes, I'm trying to knock on your door, Summer. But right now, homegirl is bolted shut. So we'll get there.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. So fun. So let's get back. Tell me, what does tech mean to you?
It's funny because for me, tech is this wildly inclusive space where it does not matter how you got your credentials. It does not matter who did your teaching, where you did it, how long it took you, or anything. What matters is that you have the skill, and not many careers can say that. I think like the biggest thing I can think of is like maybe like singing or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But most of the time,
based.
Yes, like I really can't think of many careers who can say the same thing. But at the same time, tech is also this wildly inclusive place, where it's predominantly white male, and especially older generation. And if you are a woman of color, a person of color in the space, queer, etc., you can feel not as welcomed depending on the company. Like if it is an older company, not to, I don't to like bash on a company, but I can think of companies right now that have been here for the last like 80, 100 years that may not be super welcoming, but these startups in Silicon Valley and things like that, they're super welcoming in X, Y, and Z. But it's just this weird clash when you look at things that way. But no, I find it the most inclusive yet also an inclusive place.
Did you ever feel before getting into the field like maybe I don't belong? Or when you just got into the field, did you ever have like those feelings of
so like, and I'm really trying to like think back so I can answer wholeheartedly and just honestly. For me, it was never a question of if I belonged. It was a question of if other people realized it too.
Okay. Yeah.
And that for me, to be honest, I credit my upbringing and just who I am as a person. I never question if I belong somewhere. What makes me either sad or have unpleasant emotions is wondering if the people I'm surrounded by see me as belonging as well. And it sucks because of course, like in this day and age, it's like, oh, well, have confidence and love yourself and all this yada, 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 and acting like this isn't important. But no, it's important to feel wanted, to feel admired, and like you should be here. It does impact your day. Like, oh, self-confidence, I don't need anyone to validate. Like, no, let's let's step back. Like, validation is nice.
Yeah, exactly. It gives the extra boost.
Yes, and not even the extra boost, but shoot, being welcomed in a place in general, it just gives you what you need to do your job. And so for me, that was always the back of the mind fear, especially for me, it wasn't necessarily coming from a Black woman perspective, because I've always found a way to like make it a reason to have me on, because I provide a perspective that the rest of the team can't, and Y and Z. So making it a value add. But for me, it was the not having a computer science degree part, which I was like afraid of, like, shoot, is this a dumb question? Like somebody who has a degree, they wouldn't be able to answer, or they wouldn't have had a question at all. And whatnot. So that constantly is what's in the back of my head. Like, shoot, how do they see me?
Yeah. That's really a good point, because for me, I do think about like what, like, do they see me? But I try not to think about that, because I will just end up seeing all the things that make me believe that they don't see me. But I definitely also like to feel validated, because it really, really helps, right? And when you're working as a team, you need to feel that people value your contribution to the team.
Yes. Exactly. I was like, why am I here? Like, I guess to get the paycheck, but like, I can get that from somewhere else as a software engineer. Like, I can open my LinkedIn and see the 7 recruiters who want me to.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And on that subject, you have a very interesting social media name. the Black female engineer.
Yes.
How did you come to that?
I recently thought about this because I was like, man, like, I'm so happy that that's the name I chose. I remember sitting on my bed thinking of all the channel names because I started out with YouTube. I'm only just recently getting into Instagram and TikTok, which is hilarious because the growth I've experienced on the two versus YouTube is like very night and day. But that's a conversation for another time. But I am on my bed writing all these like Instagram or not Instagram, YouTube channel names. And shoot, let me see if I can find that note. Give me 2 seconds. Because I'm like, I knew I wanted the channel name to be something. I didn't want it to be Naya because like at 0 subscribers, who's Naya? And like, why should we care? I wanted a name that gave you right away what you were getting from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was less a thing of like, oh, Naya did X, Y, and Z. And so Naya can do it, but the Black female engineer, which could be you. And so I wanted people to see themselves throughout the content, especially because my content is all about getting that same success, or if not better, success and turnaround in your career. So I wanted people to see themselves in that name and see the channel and platforms as their resource. And I am here for you to serve you and help you in this journey.
Yeah, it's so powerful. And I would say, like, I'm so happy because like you took a really bold step. And we have to be honest, like in this industry, when you don't come from like the traditional thing, not that anybody is outright saying to you, like, you're not really this, or sometimes they do, but you just have that. But then you just like went on with it and you were like, yeah, I'm here. I'm the Black female engineer. I'm like, I love it. I so love it. You're really brave.
Oh, I appreciate that. Because I didn't realize how bold a name it was until about 6 months after I was creating content. I had a speaker engagement, and after it was all done, spoke with some of the higher ups and whatnot. And one of them mentioned like, wow, that name, like, good on you for getting that and using it. And like, it is obviously a name that is going to like go places simply because of like the whole, like you said, standing your ground, owning that identity. And that was the first time I saw it like that. And so now it's very much like something I cherish very much.
Oh, that's really good. I gotta ask, since you're from Zimbabwe, I'm from Zambia, right? So we're neighbors, right? I can imagine that probably our parents sort of they sort of have a similar mindset. How do they feel about you and your career right now? And also the conversation of, actually, after having done my finance degree, I am moving this direction.
No, that's such a good question. I remember preparing to tell my mom, like, hey, so this degree is not it. I remember like being like, hey, like, this is what you're gonna say. I was so scared. I was terrified. But yeah, I think one of the reasons I was so scared was because growing up, I've always been a person who like, I've wanted to be so many things. Like, it's actually pretty absurd the amount of things I've wanted to be. I've wanted to be a singer, a lawyer, a politician, business. Like, I've wanted to be everything. Yeah. And she's always supported it, but I was afraid I was gonna like come to her and she'd be like, girl, like, come on, like, can you just pick something? Like, what do you mean you got your degree? What are you talking about? And so that was my biggest fear. But yeah, I went to her. I can see it right now. We're like on our deck. And I'm like, hey, I've been coding and doing some research. And I really think I can do this. I really want to pursue software development. And she didn't even bat an eye. Like, I think it was like a 30-second conversation. Like, it was almost like, why are you coming to me with things that don't matter? like she didn't even bat an eye. She was like, no, perfect. Do what you need to do. I'm here if you need help, but you go do your thing. And I was shocked. I was so to this day, I look back and I've even told people at dinner and things like that. Because people have asked, like, yeah, how did your parents or mom feel about this? My dad, I wasn't as afraid because he has a background in tech. He actually went to college for it and everything. And so it wasn't as bad to convince him, especially because he very much is a person who's constantly switching his move and is trying new spaces and everything. So now that I think about it, I don't even think I had a formal conversation with him. I came home one day with my 90K jobs. but yeah, knowing that I had that support and I had somebody who saw this goal of mine as so easily because of who I am as a person, like, no, this is going to happen. So now I was like, okay, cool. Now I have to make it happen. Like, I have to make it true because I told my family about it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah.
Now it's real.
Now it's real. I don't think that's like a hack I have of like, do you want to do something? Tell your parents, because now you have, especially Zimbabwean parents, African parents, now you have to do it. So,
yes, because they're going to be like, hello.
Yes.
So that thing.
Yes. Oh, so what happened to so and so? Oh no! Oh, it's in the works. It's still cooking. So. Yeah. But I'm also very fortunate to have the parents I do who have always offered that support. No matter I said I want to be a singer or a lawyer or X, Y, and Z, they've always had no doubt it could happen. So
yeah, that's really great. And at the end of the day, they're parents and they want the best for us. So
yeah.
But in your journey so far, what would you say has been the most, let's start with challenging.
Yes. Most challenging part of my journey? I think I'll talk about challenging as in tangible challenging, because there's the mental state challenging and then actually foot on the ground challenging.
Yes.
For me, the most foot on the ground challenging was the job hunt. Oh my goodness. And it wasn't even that, it was to be honest, I think I had a way better experience than many people.
Yeah.
But just the grueling nature of doing boot camp for your 10 hours that day, and then doing an hour to 2 hours of leak code and studying data structures and algorithms, and then reaching out to people on LinkedIn, and then actually applying to jobs, because shoot, 2 days have gone by and you haven't applied to a single job. Now you have to apply double, and making sure your resume, oh my goodness, there's so much that comes with the job hunt, where I truly, and really, I don't remember if this was off camera or not, where I was saying how the brain that created this web app in a couple months, I don't know if it's the same brain I have now, because I don't think I could do it again. That's to me now, the job hunt, the brain I had and the energy and everything, and
the tenacity.
The tenacity, oh my goodness. If I had to do that again, oof. But it also goes to say, when you want something so bad, me, I'm the kind of person who, when I want something so bad, I remember I couldn't even watch a 30-minute episode on Netflix because I'd be doing it and I couldn't even focus because I was running through all the things that I
your
need
to-do
to
list.
Get better at. Yes. And so now I'm not having a good time watching Netflix, so I might as well not have a good time applying to jobs, So that was for sure the most challenging, feet on the ground challenging part of my journey. And then in terms of mentally, I would say the most challenging part was my first 6 weeks on the job. I'm very proud of myself. I'm a crier, and I actually did not cry. And now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever cried for a work-related thing. Okay. I have this rule of we don't cry for work and we don't cry for boys. We do not cry over those two things. And so my first 6 weeks on the job, I just felt I just did not know what I was doing. There were all these systems all of a sudden, all this jargon and all this paperwork and access rights and all of this that I had to juggle. And every time I was like, okay, like we broke through this like onboarding stuff. So now you can actually start doing things. Then I don't have access rights to X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
And I felt so unuseful. Like, wow, I'm just eating up their money. Like, meanwhile, I'm not even contributing in any way. So there was that part of it. But then there's also the part of, okay, I have questions, but are these questions because I'm new, or are these questions because I don't have a computer science degree?
I feel you on that one.
And that was so hard. But at the end of the day, it was like, okay, cool. Like whether or not what type of question it is a question you have. And you once you ask it, you will now know. Yeah. And so once I got that in my head and saying to myself, like, okay, I'm having a hard time because I don't know. In 2 weeks, in a month, in X amount of days, I will know. So that's just like, this is another learning opportunity. I would literally, and I'm saying this like with such confidence now, I would literally be at my desk holding back tears, like also whimpering to myself, like, this is a learning opportunity. You will get through this. But that mentally was the most challenging part of my entire journey.
Oh my God. Yeah. I've had moments where I also always say like, this is a learning opportunity. And because you have to learn the product as well, that's a different thing. And then there's in-house libraries and in-house tools and in-house apps and
and not knowing what's in-house and what's not too. You know, like I'm over here Googling for things that Google doesn't even know what I'm talking about.
Girl, no.
So it's like stuff like that. One time, to show you how much I was using like Google and Stack Overflow, I actually caught Stack Overflow when they were down. To show you how much I stayed on their page, they were down for like maybe 12 minutes one day. Oh my goodness. I lost.
That was the end.
It was the end. I was like, oh my gosh, do I quit now? Like, what happens if it never comes back?
I never do my job.
They are messing with people's careers. Like, how am I gonna explain this? So it's so funny. I actually made a joke recently where I was like, I'm like in a meeting, they're like, hey, Naya, share your screen. And immediately I have to start deleting all the Stack Overflow tabs that I have open. Just so
close.
I know. Like how to like print an if statement. Like
out.
Oh my, how to center a div. Like it's just all these. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah. It's so hilarious. And it's just so funny because everyone else does the same thing.
And I feel like no one, like I'm learning that now being in the content space, but I feel like if I wasn't, I wouldn't realize that because no one says it. You know?
Yeah,
so
you just end up feeling like I'm the only one, but no.
No. So yeah, if you're watching this, you're listening to this, and you do not have a community of developers and whatnot, please know this is very, very normal. Everyone is kind of, it's like that terrible, what's the word? Basically that terrible situation where nobody's talking about it because nobody talks about it. So you continue not talking about it.
Exactly. It is like that.
Yeah.
And so we all know. It's like we all know, but we don't talk about it.
Yes. So it's like, but that's the thing though. Like, I don't think I would know if I wasn't surrounded by these community of developers like on social media. I don't think I would know. I think it really would just be like me crying, thinking that I was
exactly feeling like you're the only person that doesn't know. And yeah.
So no, this was hard, but no.
So after your coding bootcamp, has this been your first role?
Yes. Yes and no. This has been my first full-time permanent role, I think is the better thing to say. So I did some like internships, I did some contract work and whatnot. Because the thing is, I finished my boot camp October of 2020, got this offer end of October 2020, but it wasn't going to start until the following summer. So August of 2021.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I had to figure out a way to fill my time. So I did contract work, internships, this, that, and the third. And it was fine. I liked having the time and flexibility in my schedule. And yeah, now it's full time. So here we are.
Didn't you ever feel like, oh my God, what if something happens? Because that's also COVID times. And then like you have this long waiting period.
The thing is, because other people had mentioned that to me also, the thing is getting out of college, throughout college, that was our recruitment schedule and cycle. All my jobs I've ever got, every internship I've gotten, I received it the fall of the previous year in which it was supposed to start. You would always receive it fall or even the summer. And so you'd have a year to wait until you started. And so to me, I didn't like, it was just normal. But if that hadn't been the case for me, oh my goodness, I would have been terrified. I probably don't do this, but I probably would have accepted both 2 jobs. I accepted that full-time job and then accepted a different full-time job and then quit when I knew it was actually going to happen. And it's like, oh, it didn't wait. Yeah.
Because with me, with my current role as well, I had a little bit of a wet period, even though I was switching because I was already in a different role and then moving in. I don't know. Sometimes I would just wake up at night because as well, it felt too good to be true, right? And then I would wake up and I'm like, oh my God, what if I never really did have a contract? I'm like, but you have been through all these many interviews. Just and then when I was like sending in my resignation letter and whatnot, I had so many panic attacks the moment before I sent it. And it was like, I had to like check that I had a contract signed. Like, I don't know how many times.
I should have gotten in touch with a lawyer. I should have gotten a look to look over this. What if it's not valid? Like all these things. That's so, no, I'm 1,000% like you. And I would have been in any other situation. It just so happened that with this one, it was just like the norm. Because actually, even if COVID wasn't a thing, this is what they do. This is how they recruit and whatnot. And so I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'll see you in 8 months.
Yeah.
Be the one in red.
Nice, but then you did get to speak with them here and there and join in some of the events and
Yes, exactly. And keeping up that constant communication also helped. And say by January, we started speaking like once a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm actually, So that helps a lot. But overall, no, it wasn't that stressful of a time for me, especially because I did have good paying contract positions and internships. I actually was able to move out of my parents' house during that waiting period because of the other opportunities I got.
Yes. So and you had recruiters in your DMs.
See, like what's so funny it's like I was always like waiting for, because people always say like, oh, just get the first job and then like recruiters will start reaching out to you. And I was always kind of like waiting for it to happen. And now I like wake up in the morning, I'm like, damn, like can I just have one day of peace?
I know. And I'll be honest, when I heard people say some of those things, I was like, are you lying?
Yes. Like, and now here I am being like, I'm sorry, like for Forbes 10 company, I don't have the bandwidth right now to like discuss X, Y, and Z, but I look forward to something in the future. Like,
and isn't it a confidence booster to like have to reject people? Okay, that sounds bad. That sounds bad.
No. There's this quote that I think about, and I think this is exactly what you're thinking of, where it's like, name like a celebrity you love, a male celebrity.
Channing Tatum, I think.
Okay. So it's like, the only thing better than saying yes to Channing Tatum, saying no to Channing Tatum. Like it is a confidence booster. So it's like that kind of thing, like, wow, people want me and I'm saying no.
Yes.
For now though, like I'll come back, just like, please.
We don't burn bridges, but
But I now's not the right time, Channing Tatum. I'm working on me right now.
I'm working on me. I'm doing
It's
me.
me season. Yes, it's me season right now. But I'll get to you.
Exactly.
Please, yeah, leave a spot.
Yes. Take a seat on the bench.
Behind all these other people. Oh man.
So,
Jeez.
what are some of the practical tools that you use every day?
Ooh, my whiteboard. 1,000%.
100.
Love my whiteboard. I use my Post-its.
Yes.
When my whiteboard is full. Wait, is that what you mean by practical, like the tangible tools?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Whiteboard, Post-its, notebooks. Sometimes what I started to do, not even started to, because I did it with every job, but what I was good at doing the first like 5 months at my job was every time I got a new task, I would write it in my notebook, say what tools I was using to complete it, and like what the overall gist of the task was. I do this because it's really great for updating your resume when you have your list of the projects you've worked on and things like that. Like I feel like we as humans, we don't think of like what we work on as like anything big. It's like, oh, I just did this, or oh, I just fixed this, or put on this feature or whatnot. But then when you have like a notebook of it and even like show someone else, it's like you did all this.
Yeah.
It's insane. And I feel like that's a big thing that can impact the resume building, because like you think like, oh, I wasn't really that important, X, Y, and Z. But then when you have this notebook telling you otherwise, it helps so much. So yeah, my little notebook.
Yes. And on that as well, also the conversations, when you have to talk about the money.
Yes, that's such a good point.
Yeah, that comes in handy.
No, exactly. My 2 monitors. So I have 2 big monitors. So I have like my laptop right here that I'm talking to. Then I have my monitor on the left and monitor on the right. I love it. For the first half of the year or of my job, since I started in August, I only had 1 other monitor and I thought that was fine. But then I started working with 2. I don't know how I could ever go back to just 1 other one. I want another one now. Like I want a whole ESPN screen, like a whole ESPN wall. That's what I want. Like of just monitors, like different. Like I don't know if you've seen the what is it called? What's that finance company? That's like basically like a stock exchange floor of just like screens, and like they have like all of this and whatnot. Yeah. That's basically what I want. But dreams one day. I have a detachable keyboard, which is great.
Have you done a desk tour?
I haven't.
I don't see it. You should do it.
No, but listen. I tried. I really tried. And I did work on it for like 2 hours one day. But then I edited it. It was like a minute long. I was like, how do people make this 10 minutes on YouTube? It made no sense to me. And you know what? I will get you a desk tour. Maybe because I'm moving like in end of July. So when I move, probably then that way, like everything is torn down anyway, and I have to build it back up. Yeah. So I think that's what I'll do. But yeah, a nice detachable keyboard is phenomenal because then I can be rolling around my room and still just like editing stuff. Same with a detachable mouse. Perfect. Yeah, these are my most like essential things. Oh, and a standing desk, of course, in general. Of course. Now that I say that, when was the last time I stood on this desk?
Didn't your tracker remind you?
Shoot, I should do that. Usually what happens is like around like 1 p.m., 2 p.m. when I was still good at standing, that's when I would use it, because then I like put up some pump up music. So I'd be like dancing while coding and everything. But I haven't done that in a while now. Oh my goodness. Yes, I'll do that today.
You should.
Yes. And then I have like
so nice. You do have a flower on your desk.
I have flowers. Yeah. I think
fresh flowers.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I think they're very important to have. I think it's nice to have a living thing. This is the first time I've had flowers before on my desk. What I'll have, here it is. I'll have like plants, like cactus plants or like desert plants. So this is heck.
I love it.
Like Yes. But I think it's important to have like a living thing to remind you that you are also a living thing and it's just a job.
And you have to take care of.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
It's been so nice chatting to you. Like, I don't even want to stop. Like, where did time go?
Oh my goodness, it's been an hour. Oh my god,
Yes.
that's so funny.
Yes. Before I let you go, I just want you to tell me, should everyone learn to code?
I think everyone should try coding.
Yes.
I don't think it's necessary for everyone that they must learn, but I do think everyone should try. And because the best case scenario, you get that same feeling I had, like, oh my goodness, like I need this in my life. And worst case scenario, you now know a few coding concepts that you may or may not use on your job. And so I always tell people, like, go to freecodecamp.com and check out just one of their courses. You don't need to commit to anything, just commit to just like an hour and see how you like it, and let that guide you the rest of the way.
That's a really good tip. Yeah, I also agree. You need to try it because the future is looking.
Yes, and the like possibilities we have. Like, I'm fully remote. I don't plan to ever be not like mostly remote in the future. So it's just, it allows for the accomplishment of other goals in a way that other careers just don't.
Exactly. That is so true. And it will just keep getting better, honestly.
Yes, exactly.
So where can people find you?
Yes, people can find me pretty much anywhere at the Black Female Engineer. Instagram, the Black Female Engineer, TikTok, YouTube, theblackfemaleengineer.com. Twitter, I finally got an account. What's rough is Twitter, the Black Female Engineer was too long for it. Yeah. And so I'll leave the Twitter out for now. But yeah, you can also go to theblackfemaleengineer.com, sign up for my newsletter. I'm everywhere. Just look it up. You will find me.
And you have the best Get Into Tech course right now.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to start. You had the second installment in about 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks. I am so excited, and I'm very excited to just continue bringing it. Right now I'm working on a quarterly schedule, so it's really amazing.
I will definitely have a link in the show notes or description. Yeah, and that way, if by the time of publication it's already going on, they can always sign up for,
Yes, and actually thinking about your timeline, by the time of publication, the next one enrollment will probably be almost open. So
bang, perfect. Make sure you have to get into that course. It's amazing, honestly. Yeah,
I love it.
It's been so good chatting with you, and thank you so much for coming on my podcast. And I can't wait for us to continue chatting.
No, same. This was so amazing. Like, truly the highlight of my day. Like I said, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's been an hour. Like, are you gonna start the podcast at some point? Because I feel like we've just been like just catching up. Like, hey, let's get to it.
It's been so nice. I've enjoyed it. Yeah.
You have been listening to the Tech Girl podcast with me, Gertrude. I hope you can join me for another episode where